Welcome to Raw Perfect classes. In this class, I will continue next topic of wireless sensor network, ad hoc and wireless sensor network. All these topics challenges for wireless sensor network, types of service, and quality of services. ये then fault tolerance, lifetime, scalability, and wide range of density. Programmability, maintainability, required mechanisms, multi-hop wireless communication, energy efficient operation, auto configuration, collaboration and in-network procession, data centric locality, exploit trade-off. All these points I have already discussed in previous video. Now I am going to discuss about what are the enabling technologies for wireless sensor networks. In first point, I will tell you that building such wireless sensor network has only become possible with some fundamental advances in enabling technology. If you want to enable the technology for the wireless sensor network, then you have to keep in mind some fundamental advances regarding enabling technologies which become possible in wireless sensor network when we build the wireless sensor network. First is a miniaturizations of hardware. In miniaturization of hardware, we say that first and foremost among these technologies is miniaturizations of hardware. What do you mean by miniaturizations? Think about what is meaning of miniaturization of miniaturizations का what do you mean by miniaturization? Miniaturization means it is a process of making something regarding hardware. It is particularly related to electronic or mechanical devices on much smaller scale, and it also involves manufacturing ever we can say smaller products, and it has led to important trends like increased number of transistors on microchip. It also enabling smaller and faster computers and mobile phones, and the act and process of reducing something in size of miniaturization of hardware. In the form of technological application, we can say modern technology uses miniaturizations to create the smaller version of products. If you want to produce smaller version of products, then we use miniaturizations and miniaturizing computer components. For example, the development of transistor is a main example of miniaturizations, and it enabled the miniaturizations of many electronic devices which include processor, memory chips, and it is famous for the observing in doubling of transistors on a chip over a specific period, a trend which known as Moore's law. In a broader sense, we can say it's ongoing trend which is used in the manufacturing of many types of products, not just electronics. It also leading to downsized engines in the vehicles, etc. Now, next point is smaller features. Smaller feature sizes in chips have driven down power consumption of the basic components of a sensor node. This is a example of miniaturization of hardware, and this is a particularly relevant to microcontroller. It also relevant for the microcontroller and its and memory chip as such we can say, but also the radio modems which are responsible for wireless communication, which have become much more energy efficient. And in next point we can say it reduce the chip size. It also improve the energy efficiency, which is a companion of reduced cost and which is a necessity to make the redundant deployment of nodes. Now next topic is sensing equipment. What do you mean by sensing equipment? The sensing equipment means the actual sensing equipment, which is a third relevant technology. Due to vast range of possible sensors, it's very difficult to generalize. So that's where the basic parts of a sensor node, which have to accompanied by power supply, and it requires, depending on the application, high capacity batteries which last for the long times, that is have only a negligible self discharge rate, and that can be efficiently provide small amounts of current. Ideally, we can say a sensor node also has a device for energy scavenging, recharging the battery with energy. What do you mean by scavenging? Think about what do you mean by scavenging. Scavenging means search for and collect anything which is usable, and which can be from discarded waste. You can say image, or you can say scavenging means it capturing, converting ambient energy from environment into usable electrical power for the sensor node, and this process also called energy harvesting or power scavenging, which reduces or eliminates the need for the batteries, and it also allowing the devices how to operate autonomously for extended periods in the remote location. This is a scavenging, recharging the battery with energy. For gathered from the environment, solar cells, vibration based power generation. We can say a sensor node also has a device. A sensor node also has a such type of device which is used for energy scavenging, recharging the battery with energy gathered from the environment, like solar cells, vibration based power generation. Such a concept which requires the battery to be efficiently chargeable with the small amounts of current, and which is not a standard ability. Now next is a both batteries and energy scavenging both are still objects of the ongoing research. The counterpart to the basic hardware technologies is software. What is the counterpart of basic hardware technology? That is the software. Now, what do you mean by counterpart? What do you mean by counterpart? Counterpart means a thing, a person which corresponds to or has the same function as another person or thing in a different place or situation. That is called a counterpart. Or in other language we can say it is a one of the two copies of a legal documents, or you can say it is a equivalent word. Now, the division of the task and functionality in a single node is done by the architecture of operating system or runtime environment. When we divide the task or functionality in a single node, that will be done by the architecture of operating system or runtime environment. This environment has to support retasking, cross-layer information exchange and modularity to allow for the simple maintenance. And this is software architecture on a single node has to be extended to a network architecture where we can say division of task between the nodes, not only a single node, it also to structure interfaces for application programmers. It means this software architecture on a single node has to be extended to a network architecture where division of task between nodes not only for a single node, it also for the structure interfaces for application programmers. Now next topic I will discuss, that is the applications of sensor networks. Applications of sensor networks. In application of sensor network, first point is disaster relief application. A typical scenario which is wildfire detection. Sensor nodes are equipped with the thermometers and they can determine their own location. Second, these type of applications use sensors which are deployed over a wildfire, for example, forest from an airplane. Third, they collectively produce. What will be they produce? Collectively produce a temperature map of the area or determine the parameter of area with high temperature, and that can be accessed from the outside by firefighters and equipped with the personal digital assistants, that is known as PDM. Fourth point, similarly, control of accidents in chemical factories with the help of wireless sensor network applications, we can control of accidents in chemical factories. In military application, where sensors should detect enemy troops rather than wildfires. In sixth point, we can say in such application, sensors should be cheap enough to be considered disposable because large number is necessary. Lifetime requirements are not particularly high. Now, second point is environment control and biodiversity mapping. What do you mean by environment control and biodiversity mapping? In this, we can say wireless sensor network can be used to control the environment with respect to chemical pollutants. A possible application is a garbage dump sites. Another example is the surveillance of marine ground floor, where an understanding of its erosion process is important for the construction of offshore and wind farms. Third point, it also to gain an understanding of number of plant and animal species which live in given habitat, biodiversity mapping. And now third point is intelligent building. What do you mean by intelligent building? Intelligent building means it in this building waste vast amounts of energy by inefficient humidity, ventilation, air conditioning uses. A better real-time high-resolution monitoring of temperature, airflow, humidity and other physical parameters in a building by means of a wireless sensor network. It can also increase the comfort level of inhabitants and it also reduce the energy consumption. In addition, we can say such sensor nodes can be used to monitor mechanical stress level of buildings in a seismically active zones. And in next point we can say when we measure mechanical parameters like bending load of girders. It is possible through the wireless sensor network whether it's still safe to enter a given building or not after an earthquake. It is considerable advantage for the rescue personnel. Similarly, we can say such type of systems can be applied to bridges. Other types of sensors might be geared towards the detecting people which are enclosed in a collapsed building, and it also communicating like informations to rescue team. Next point is facility management. Facility management, in this we can say, in the management of facility larger than a single building, wireless sensor network also have a wide range of possible applications. Simple examples we can say keyless entry applications where people wear the badges that allow a wireless sensor network to check which person is allowed to enter or not, which areas of a larger company site. Example, this example can be extended to the detection of intruders. Now, what do you mean by intruders? Intruder means a person who intrudes especially into a building with a criminal intent. You can say intruder means browser, you can say intruder means a trespasser, or you can say someone who enters a place without the permission in order to commit a crime. That is known as intruders. If you want to detect intruders, then we can take facility management. Now next point, vehicles which pass a street outside of the normal business hours. A wide area WSN could track such vehicles position and alert the security personnel. This application shares many commonalities with the corresponding military application also. WSN could be used in a chemical plant to scan for leaking chemicals. Now next point is machine surveillance and preventive maintenance. In machine surveillance and preventive maintenance, we can say one idea is to fix the sensor nodes for the difficult to reach areas of machinery where they can detect vibration patterns that indicate the need for maintenance. Examples for such type of machinery could be robotics, or you can say axles of trains. Other applications in manufacturing are easily conceivable. The main advantage of WSN here is capable free operation and avoiding a maintenance problem in itself, and it also allowing a cheap, often retrofitted installation of such sensors. Now, what do you mean by retrofitted? What do you mean by retrofitted? Retrofitted means to modify equipment in airplanes, automobiles, or you can say a factory, etc. That is already in service, which are using parts developed or made available after the time of original manufacture. That is known as retrofitted. And or another way we can say retrofitted, we can retrofit your car with the new fuel system. You can say retrofit means rebuild, build, reconstruct. That is known as retrofitted. Now, precision agriculture. Precision agriculture means here applying WSN to agriculture and allows the precise irrigation. Now, what do you mean by precise irrigation? Precise irrigation system means an advanced agriculture method which delivers water, nutrients directly to the plant's roots in measured amounts at the right time and the right place. And it also minimizing the waste from evaporations and runoff. This can be achieved through the technology like drip irrigation, sensors which monitors crop needs, soil moisture, weather condition, which also provide the customized and efficient watering fertilization. And this approach conserves the water, improves the crop health, it also increases yields while being more sustainable than traditional methods. That is known as precise irrigation and fertilizing by placing humidity, soil composition sensors into fields. Similarly, we can say we can pest control use which can profit from a high resolution surveillance of a farmland. It also livestock breeding can benefit from attaching a sensors to each pig or cow which controls the health status of the animal by checking their body temperature and step counting or similar means and raises the alarms if given threshold are exceeded. Now here what do you mean by threshold? Threshold means a mount, a level, a limit on a scale. When threshold is reached, something else happens or changes. That is known as threshold. And in WSN, we can say threshold means predefined value which triggers an action based on sensor data. And it is a critical parameter, critical argument which used for energy efficiency and event detection. And it also allowing the nodes how to avoid unnecessary data transmission by only giving information, transferring information, sending information when a value crosses a certain limit, such as exceeding a specified intensity or when variance of the readings reaches a set level. That is known as thresholds. Now next is a medicine and healthcare. The use of wireless sensor network in healthcare applications is a potentially very beneficial. Possibility range from post-operative and intensive care, where sensors are directly attached to patients. The advantage of doing away with the cables is considerable to the long-term surveillance of patients and to automatic drug administration. Embedding sensors into drug packaging. You can do this by the embedding sensors into drug packaging, raising alarms when applied to the wrong patient. That is conceivable. It also you can say also patient and doctor tracking systems in hospitals which can be literally life saving. Now next point is logistics. In many logistic applications, it's possible to equip goods, individual parcels, for example, with simple sensors, and which allow a simple tracking of these objects during the transportations or facilitate inventory tracking in the stores or warehouses. Or in other ways, we can say logistics. Logistics in dictionary meaning we can say it is a detailed organization of implementation of a complex operation, or you can say it is a activity of organizing movements, equipments, accommodation of troops, or you can say logistics means organization or substitution. Now telematics. What do you mean by telematics? Telematics in a wireless sensor network, it involves integrating vehicle based sensors and it also communication devices to form a wireless sensor network which collects and transmits the vehicle and data environmental data for real time services like navigation, safety alerts, fleet management. A wireless sensor network based telematic system which can have an internal car to car system which forms ad hoc network with nearby vehicles, and in vehicle system it collects the data from sensors, then transmit to central server. It also allow for intelligent real time information like road and accident warnings which to be provided to the drivers. This is a telematics, or you can say partially related to logistic application, which are application for the telematics context where sensors embedded in the streets or roadsides which can gather information about the traffic conditions, such is so called the intelligent roads. It could also interact with the cars to exchange the danger warnings about the road conditions or traffic jams ahead. Now next topic is single node architecture. In single node architecture, we will discuss first point hardware components of sensor nodes. Hardware components of sensor nodes. Hardware components of sensor nodes. You can say the main hardware component of sensor nodes are like power supply, sensing unit, processing unit, and transceiver unit. These are the sensor nodes. Main hardware components of a sensor nodes are power supply, sensing unit, processing unit, and transceiver unit. All these are the main components which are responsible for giving energy, collecting data from environment, processing that data and communicating with other nodes wirelessly. And in additionally, we can say like memory, analog to digital converters, actuators, which are also common parts of the hardware components of a sensor node. So now we can say building a wireless sensor network first of all requires the constituting nodes to be developed and available. And these nodes have to meet the requirements which come from the specific requirements of a given application. They might have to be small, cheap, energy efficient. They have to be equipped with the right sensors and the necessary computation and memory resources. And they also need adequate communication facilities. You can see here all these points which I have already discussed. Power supply, communication device, controller, sensor actuators, and memory. Now what is controller? A controller to process all the relevant data, capable of executing arbitrary code. Memory, some memory to store the programs, intermediate data, usually different types of memory which are used for programs and data, that is called the memory. Sensors and actuators, both are the actual interface to physical world and devices that can observe or control physical parameters of environment. These are the sensor and actuators. Communication during turning the nodes into a network which requires a device for sending and receiving information over a wireless channel, that is medium is communication. Power supply, some form of recharging by obtaining energy from environment, is available, as well as that is solar cells. Now what is the main work of controller? The controller is the main core of a wireless sensors node. What is the work of controller? It collects the data from the sensors, processes that data, and decides when and where to send it. And after that receive data from the other sensor node, they decide on the actuator's behavior. It is the CPU of the node, and it is representing trade-offs between the flexibility, performance, energy efficiency, and cost. Now, what do you mean by the microcontroller? Microcontroller provides is a flexibility suited to the embedded systems, and it is an instruction set which amenable to the time critical signal processing. And microcontroller has a low power consumptions. It have memory built in and freely programmable. Digital signal processors. Now, digital signal processor means it is a specialized processor, special architecture. Their instruction set for processing large amount of vectorial data. Next is it is a used to process the data coming from a simple analog wireless communication device to extract a digital data system. It also, you can say that another option for the controller is field programmable gate arrays, that is known as FPGA. An application specific integrated circuit, that is known as ASICS. FPGA is a time and energy for the reprogrammable, and ASI is a less flexibility costly hardware. In wireless sensor network, the duties of the sensor nodes don't change over the lifetime, where a number of nodes is a big enough to warrant the investment in the ASIC development, which is a superior solution. Now, memory. There is a need for the random access memory for the storing intermediate sensor readings and packets from the other nodes and soon. While RAM is fast, its main disadvantage is that it loses its content if power supply is interrupted. And ROM, PROM, EPROM, EEPROM, they can be used to store the data correctly. You can say dimensioning memory sizes, especially RAM, which can be crucial with the respect to manufacturing cost and power consumption. Now, next is a communication device. Communication device means this type of device is used to the exchange the data between the individual nodes. Radio frequency based communication, it provides a relatively long range and high data rates which acceptable error rates and reasonable energy expenditure, and it does not require any line of sight between the sender and receiver. Transceiver, the essential task is to the essential task of transceiver is to convert a bit stream which coming from microcontroller or you a sequence of bytes of frames and convert them to and from radio waves. It's also usually convenient to use a device which combines these two tasks in a single entity, like combined devices which called the transceivers. A range of the low-cost transceivers is commercially available that incorporate all the circuitry required for the transmitting, receiving modulation, demodulation, amplifiers, filters, mixtures, and so on. Now, transceivers task and their characteristics. What is the task of transceiver? Transceiver is used to select the appropriate transceivers. A number of characteristics should be taken into account. Service to upper layer, most notably to medium access control layer. Sometimes this service is packet oriented. Sometimes a transceiver only provides a white interface, even only a bit interface to the microcontroller. Now, next point is power consumption and energy efficiency. What is the work of power consumption and energy efficiency? Energy efficiency is the energy required to the transmit and receive a single bit. Transceivers should be switchable between the different states, active and sleeping state. The ideal power consumption in each of these states during the switching between them is very important. Next is a carrier frequency and multiple channels, CFMC. In this, transceivers are available for the different carrier frequencies. Evidently, it must match the applications in requirements and regulatory restrictions. It also often useful if transceivers provides the several carrier frequencies to choose from. It also helping the alleviate the some congestion which problems in a dense network, like FDMA or multi-channel CSMA, Aloha techniques, etc. Data rates. In this we can say carrier frequencies and used bandwidth together with the modulation and coding determine the gross data rates. And typically values are a few tens of kilobytes per second. You should keep in mind what is a power supply unit. Power supply unit provides and distributes power to all other components, which can include batteries, power management circuits with some nodes which is capable of harvesting energy from the environment, example solar panels. Sensing unit sensing unit works gathers the data from the physical environment, and it includes one or more sensors which use for the converting physical phenomena into electrical signals. And it also include analog to digital converter, that is known as ADC, which is used to convert signals into digital format for the processing. And the next processing unit, the main brain of the node is the processing unit, and it processes the sensor node and execute code. It also usually includes a microcontroller, that is known as MCU, and it's sometimes external memory for storing programs and data it is used. Transceiver unit enables the wireless communication between sensor node and other nodes or a base stations. It handles the both transmitting and receiving data. Memory is used to store the sensor nodes, program code, any other data which needs to temporarily saved. Analog to digital converter means it converts the analog signals from sensor into digital signals that processing unit can understand. That analog to digital means analog form, this is analog form, and in digital form 0 1 0 1 0 1, this is a digital signal. Equator means these equators are optional components which allow the node to affect the physical environment which based on the data it collects. Okay, these are the hardware components of a wireless sensor network. Now I am going to discuss about modulation. Now what do you mean by modulation? In wireless sensor network, modulation is the process of encoding data into a carrier wave by altering its property like amplitude, frequency and phase. This allows the data how to be transmitted wirelessly and how is crucial for the energy efficiency, link quality, data rate. Different type of schemes which are used for binary data, while adaptive modulations which allow the network how to choose the best scheme which based on the channel conditions and battery power. And these schemes are QAM, PSK, etc. And modulation works uh, first it use modulating signal. The original data signal binary in the binary form 0 and 1, which is superimposed onto higher frequency carrier wave. And what do you mean by carrier wave? This is a simple waveform which has properties like amplitude, frequency and phase which can be changed. Now modulation means properties of the carrier wave which are altered in accordance with the message signal to encode the data. For example, PSK, that is known as phase shift keying. The phase of the carrier is shifted to represent different bits. Demodulation means at the receiver side, the reverse process. Demodulation extracts the original data from carrier wave. What type of considerations which are used in wireless sensor network? First, you can use energy efficiency, link quality, data rate, bandwidth, adaptability, etc. Now, energy efficiency means wireless sensor network nodes often have limited battery life. They can choose the right modulation scheme. They can, which is critical for the reducing the energy consumption. For example, we can use a modulation which allows for the faster transmission and which can be reduce the time the transmitter which is on and thus saving energy. Link quality means the modulation scheme which affects the network's sensitivity to noise fading, interference, and which are common in industrial or other environments. Data rate and bandwidth means modulation also impacts how much data can be transmitted in a given time and how efficiently they can available frequency spectrum used. Adaptability means because channels conditions and node energy levels change. An adaptive modulation strategy which can dynamically select the most appropriate modulation scheme for maintaining the link quality while we optimizing for energy consumption. There are some important modulation techniques like ASK, that is known as amplitude shift keying, which varies amplitude of carrier wave to represent data. Second one is binary phase shift key, that is known as BP. First is a ASK, second is BPSK, third is a QPSK, fourth is a GMSK, then OOK, then QAM. First, I have already discussed ASK, that is a amplitude shift keying, which changes amplitude of carrier wave to represent data. BPSK means binary phase shift keying, which is used for which uses two phase shifts for representing binary data. QPSK quadrature phase shift keying, which uses uh, four phases for part shifts to represent data. GMSK Gaussian's minimum shift key, a constant envelope modulation scheme which is energy efficient. OOK means on off keying, a simple form of ASK where signal is either transmitted or not transmitted to represent weight sum. QAM means quadrature amplitude modulation. In this, it modulates the both amplitude and phase of carrier, which allowing for the higher data rates. Now I am going to discuss from this page, from this. First, we have to keep in mind that modulation, several of the on-off keying, ask FSK or similar modulation. First point is noise figure. The noise figure, which is defined as the ratio of signal to noise ratio, and it also known as SNR ratio. SNRI at the input of the element to SNR ratio, SNRO output at the elements of output. NFA formula is equal to SNRI, that means input, S divided by SNRO, that is output. How can you find out the noise figures ratio? We can find out it when we divide the SNRI divided by SNRO. Next is a receiver sensitivity. The receiver sensitivity, which is given in dBm, and specifies the minimum signal power at the receiver needed to achieve a prescribed EB over NO. Here prescribed bit packet error rate. Blocking performance of a receiver is its achieved bit error rate in the presence of an interferer. Now frequency stability. Frequency stability means it denotes the degree of variations from nominal center frequency when environmental conditions of oscillators like temperature or pressure change. Transceiver operational states. Many transceivers which can be differentiated for operational states. First is a transmitter. In transmitter state, transmit part of the transceiver is active and antenna radiates energy. Receive, in this state receiver part is active. Idle, A transceiver that is ready to receive is not currently receiving anything is said to be in idle state. In this idle state, many parts of the receive circuitry are active and others can be switched off. Sleep. In this state, important parts of the transceivers are switched off and these sleep states differ in the amount of circuitry switched off and in associated recovery times and startups energy. Now next is a wake up receivers. In wake up receivers we can say it to keep this specialized receiver simple and it is fixed for it to raise an event to notify other components of an incoming packet. Upon such an event and the main receiver can be turned on and perform the actual reception of the packet. Such receiver concepts are called wake-up receivers. Now, sensors are the passive, omnidirectional sensor, thermometers, light sensors, vibrations, microphones, humidity, mechanical stress, tensions in the materials. All these are the sensors and passive and narrow beam sensors, cameras which can be take measurements in a given direction but has to be rotated if needed. Active sensor means a sonar or radar sensor, some types of the seismic sensors. Each sensor node has a certain area of coverage for which it can be reliably and accurately report the particular quantity that it is observing. Actuators are just about as diverse as a sensors and the actuators controls a motor, a light bulb, some other physical object which is not really of the concern to the way communication protocols are designed. Now next is a power supply of sensor nodes. In power supply of sensor node, first point is a traditional batteries. The power source of a sensor node is a battery, either non-rechargeable primary batteries or rechargeable secondary batteries. Capacity, they should have the high capacity at a small weight, small volume and a low price. The main metric is energy per volume and joule cube centimeter. Capacity under the load. They should withstand various usage patterns as a sensor node which can be consume quite different levels of power over time and which actually draw the high current in the certain operation modes. Self-discharge means their self-discharge should be low. They might also have to be last for a long time. Energy efficient recharging. Recharging should be efficient even at a low and intermittently available recharge power. Energy scavenging. Energy from a node node's environment must be tapped into and made available to the node. Energy scavenging should be taken place. Photovoltaic, the well-known solar cells which can be used to power sensor nodes. Vibration, one more almost pervasive form of mechanical energy is vibration. Now I am going to discuss next topic that is related to issues and challenges in designing a sensor network. Sensor networks which pose the certain design challenges which are due to the following reasons. The first reason is sensor nodes are randomly deployed and hence they don't have fit into any regular topology. Once deployed, they usually don't require any human intervention. Hence, the setup and maintenance of the network should be entirely autonomous. Sensor networks are infrastructure less network, therefore all the routing and maintenance algorithm which need to be distributed. Sensor usually rely only on their battery for the power which in many cases we can say they cannot be recharged or replaced. So because available energy at the node should be considered as a major constraints while designing the protocols. And hardware design for sensor nodes which should also be considered energy efficiency as a primary requirements. The microcontroller operating system application software should be designed to conserve power. Sensor nodes should be able to synchronize with each other in a completely distributed manner so that we can say TDMA schedules which can be imposed, temporal which ordering of the detected events which can be performed without any ambiguity. A sensor network should also be capable of adapting to changing connectivity due to the failure of nodes or new nodes powering up. And provisions must be made for the secure communication over sensor network, which especially for the military applications which carry sensitive data. Sensor network architecture: the design of sensor network is influenced by factors like scalability, fault tolerance, and power consumption. And the two basic kinds of sensor network architectures are layered network architecture, cluster network architecture. Now, what do you mean by layered network architecture? A layered network architecture has a single powerful base station, and layers of its sensor nodes around it correspond to the nodes which have the same hop count to the base station. It's used within the building wireless backbones, and in a military sensor based infrastructure like multi-hop infrastructure. And network architectures, in the building scenario, the base station act as an access point to wired network, and small nodes form a wireless backbone to provide wireless connectivity. The users of network which have handheld devices like PDA, which can communicate by the small nodes to base station. Similarly, we can say in a military operations, base station is a data gathering and processing entity with a communication link to a larger network. A set of wireless sensor nodes is accessed by handheld devices of the soldiers. Now, what are the advantages of this? Each node is involved only in a short distance and low power transmitting to nodes of a neighboring layers. Now, second point is clustered network architecture. A cluster network architecture organizes the sensor nodes into clusters, and each and every governed by a cluster head. And the nodes in each cluster are involved in a message exchanges with their cluster heads, and these heads send message to a base station. And cluster network architecture, which is useful for the sensor network because because of its inherent suitability for data fusion. Data gathered by all members of the cluster can be fused at a cluster head, and only resulting information needs to be communicated to the base station. Cluster information or election of cluster heads must be autonomous and distributed process. You can see here this is a base station, and this is a one hop, two hop layer, and three hop layer, and the dot dots are the sensor nodes, and these are in dotted form, these are the covered area. Layered network architecture, and you can see here this is a cluster. These are the cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, and cluster 4. And these points are the cluster heads who are the communicating with the base station for the needs of clusters, other cluster members. Now next topic is energy consumption of sensor nodes. In energy consumption of sensor nodes, operational states with power consumptions. First point we will discuss operational states with power consumption. Energy supply for a sensor node is at a premium. When we supply the energy for a sensor node at a premium, then batteries have a small capacity, and recharging by energy scavenging is complicated and volatile because energy consumptions of a sensor node must be tightly controlled. The main consumers of the energy are to some degree memory and depending on the type of the sensor. How to reduce the consumption? To reduce the power consumption of these components, which comes from chip level and lower technologies, designing low power chips is the best starting point for an energy efficient sensor nodes. Introducing and using multiple states of operations with reduced energy consumption in return for reduced functionality is the main technique which is used for energy efficient wireless sensor nodes. For a controller, typically states are active, idle, and sleep, which I have already discussed about all these points, active, idle and sleep. A radio modem and which could turn transmitter receiver both on or off. Sensor and memory could also be turned on or off. Usual terminology of is to speak of is a deeper sleep state of the less power is consumed. What are the drawbacks of the transition of states? Transitions between states take both time and energy. Usual assumption of this is that deeper sleep state, more time, energy it takes to wake up again to fully operational state, or another less deeper state, because it may be worthwhile to its remain in an idle state instead of going to deeper sleep states. You can see here this is a time 1 and time event second up. Here time is down, here active, energy saved, here energy will be overhead. Energy sourcing and overhead for sleep nodes. Now I am explaining this figure. This figure illustration this notation based on the commonly used model. At the time t1, when it is a time t1, the decision whether or not a component, say microcontroller, is to put into sleep or mode should be taken to reduce power consumptions from passive to P active to P sleep. If it remains active, the next event occurs at the time event. Then a total energy of E active, P active, total energy E active minus P active, T event minus T1 has be sent usually idling. Putting the component into sleep mode. When we put the component into sleep mode, on the other hand, it requires a time capital T down until sleep mode has been reached. As a simplification, we can say we assume that average power consumption during this phase is P active plus P sleep divided by 2. In total, T down, P active plus P sleep divided by 2 plus T event minus T1 minus T down multiply P sleep energy is required in sleep mode as opposed to T event minus T1 P active when remaining active. The energy saving is thus E saved, energy saved in bracket T event minus T1 bracket close P active minus T down in bracket P active plus P sleep divided by 2 plus T event minus T1 minus T down and P sleep. This is the formula for calculating energy saving. Once the event to be processed occur, an additional overhead is incurred to come back for the operational state before the event can be processed. Again, making a simplifying assumptions about average power consumption during the makeup. And after that, this energy is indeed an overhead which can be undertaken during this time. And overhead can be calculated by time up bracket start P active plus P sleep divided by 2. And switching to a sleep mode is only beneficial if E overhead is less than E saved, or equivalently if time to be next event is sufficiently large. T event minus T1 is greater than half of the time down plus P active plus P sleep over P active minus P sleep and time up. This is the formula for switching. Now next is a microcontroller energy consumption. In microcontroller energy consumption, we will discuss first topic basic power consumption in a discrete operation states. Intel Strong ARM. The Intel Strong ARM which provides three sleep modes. It provides three sleep mode. First is normal mode, second idle mode, third any interrupt. In normal mode, all parts of the processor are fully powered and power consumption is up to 400 MW. And in idle mode, the clocks of the CPU are stopped. Clocks that pertain to peripherals are active. or any interrupt will cause return to normal mode. Power consumption is up to 100 MW. Now, third is a sleep mode. Only real-time clock remains active. Wake up occurs after a timer interrupt and takes up to the 160 ms. Power consumption is up to 50 per watt. Now next is a Texas Instruments MSP 430. MSP 430 is a family features a wider range of operation modes. Once fully operational mode, which consumes about 1.2 MW, all power values which given at 1 megahertz and 3 volts. There are four sleep modes. In total, the deepest sleep mode LPM4 only consumes 0.3 mu W, but controller is only woken up by external interrupts in this mode. And in next higher mode LPM3, a clock is also still running and which can be used for scheduled backup, and it also still consumes only about 6 mu watt. Now next is a ATMEL, ATMEGA. The ATML or at Mega 128L has six different modes of power consumption which are in a principle which are similar to the MSP 430. Its power consumption changes between 6 MW and 15 MW in idle and active modes is about 75 mu W in power down modes. Now next is a dynamic voltage scaling. A more sophisticated possibility than discrete operational states is to use the continuous notion of functionality power adaptation by adapting the speed with which a controller operates. The idea is to choose the best possible speed with which to compute a task that has to be completed a task and has to be completed by a given deadline. One obvious solution is to switch the controller in a full operation mode and compute the task at the highest speed and go back to sleep mode as quickly as possible. And next we use here an alternative approach which is used to calculate the task only at the speed which required to be finish it before the deadline. The rationale is the fact that a controller running at the lower speed, lower clock rates, and which consumes less power as compared to full speed. And this is due to the reduced at the lower clock rates and while we still granting the correct operation. This technique is also called dynamic voltage scaling DVS. And this type of technique is actually beneficial for the CMOS chip, which is reducing the voltage and which is very efficient way to reduce the power consumption. Power consumption also depends on the frequency that is known as F, and formula will be P proportionate F multiply B to DD. Consequently, dynamic voltage scaling also reduces energy consumption. And here we will discuss now regarding memory from an memory perspective point of view. From an energy perspective, the most relevant kind of memory is on chip memory of a microcontroller, flash memory of chip RAM, which are rarely if ever used. In fact, power needed to drive on chip memory is usually included in consumption numbers given for the controller. We can say most relevant part of flash memory. In fact, construction and uses of flash memory which can be heavily influenced to the node life time, and relevant matrices are which are read and write times and energy consumptions. Writing is the somewhat more complicated as compared to which depends on the granularities with which data can be accessed. A radio transceiver has essentially two tasks, transmitting and receiving the data between a pair of nodes. Similarly, we can say microcontroller radio transceiver can be operated in the different modes. Simplest one are being turned on or turned off. To accommodate the necessary low total energy consumption, transceivers should be turned off most of time and only be activated when necessary. They work at a low duty cycle. Modeling energy consumption during the transmission. In principle, we can say energy consumed by a transmitter is due to the two sense sources. One part is due to the radio frequency signal generation, which mostly depends on the chosen modulation, and it also target the distance and hence on the transmission power. PTX is the power radiated by the antenna. Second part is due to the electronic components which are necessary for frequency synthesis and frequency conversion filters and so on. Next point is a modeling energy consumption during the reception. Similarly to the transmitter, receiver can either turned off or turn on. While being the turned on, it can either actively a packet or which can be idle observing channel and we ready to receive. Evidently, the power consumption while it is a turned off, it is a negligible. Even the difference between the idling and actually which receiving is very small and which can for most purposes and we assume to be zero. Now next topic is sensor network scenarios. What type of sensor network scenarios? What are the types of sources and sinks? There are different types of different types of these interaction patterns found in the wireless sensor network, like event detection, periodic measurement, function approximation, edge detections, tracking, etc. And source is an any entity in the network which can provide information. Sensor nodes, it could also be an actuator node which provides the feedback about an operation. A sink or on the other hand, it is an entity where information is required. There are essentially three options for a sink. It could belong to the sensor network as such, be just another sensor as a actuator node, or it could be an entity outside this network. For this second case, sink means base station, which could be an actual device, for example, handheld PDA, which used to interact with the sensor network. It could also be merely a gateway, just like a gateway to the another larger network, such as the internet, where the actual request for the information comes from some node far away and the only indirectly connected to such a sensor network. These main types of sinks are illustrated by below figure and showing the sources and sinks to the direct communication. Next is a single hop versus multi-hop network. The inherent power limitation of radio communication follows a limitation on feasible distance between sender and receiver. This portion is a here you can see sink. This is a source which connected with the sink. Here is also a source which connected with the sink. And here you can see this is a internet media and this is a sink, and the source will be connected with this sink through the internet. Three types of sinks in the very simple and single hop sensor network. And this is a source. Here the sink and these are the obstacles, because there are the different types of sinks are available. Multi-hop available, and as a direct communication because of the distance and are obstacles, multi-hop communication can circumvent to the problem. Because of this channel limited distance, the direct communication between source and sink, it's not always possible, specifically in wireless sensor network, because which are intended to cover a lot of ground. For example, in environmental, in agriculture applications, they operate in the difficult radio environments with the strong attenuations, for example in buildings. To overcome all such type of limited distances, an obvious way out is to use to the relay stations. We use here relay stations with the data packets taking the multi-hop from the source to sink. This concept of multi-hop network for wireless sensor as a sensor nodes themselves can act as a such as a relay nodes. And they all the depending on the particular applications, likelihood of the having they have an intermediate sensor nodes at the right place, which can be actually be quite high. While we multi-hopping is the solution to overcome the problems with the large distances or obstacles, we claim to be improve the energy efficiency of communication. And for the attenuations of the radio signals is at the least quadratic. In most of environments, it consumes less energy to use the relay and it instead of direct communication. When targeting for a constant SNRA at all the receivers radiated energy which required for the direct communication over distance, that is known as D. D is CD alpha, and C some constant alpha is greater than 2, the path loss coefficient term. Using as relay at a distance, D divided by 2 reduces this energy to 2C bracket start D divided by 2 alpha. But this calculation considers only the radiated energy, not only actually energy which consumed in the intermediate relay node. Only for the large, it does not radiated energy dominate which fixed energy cost which consumed in the transmitter which use in receiver electronics. The concrete distances where the direct and multi-hop communication which are used in the balance which depends on this lot of devices which specific environment and a specific parameter. And it should be pointed out that only multi-hop network operating in a store which forwards the fashion. And in such of type of network, a node has to correctly receive packet before it can be forward it somewhere. And this you can see here, this is a multiple sources, these are the available, there are multiple sources available there in this only one sink, and here you can see there are the number of sinks are available for the communication purpose. Multiple sources or multiple sinks not how in the scenario in the lower half, and both sinks and active sources are used to forward data to sinks at the left and right of the end of the network. Multiple sinks or sources. In many cases, we can say there are multiple sources, multiple sinks present. In most of challenging case, we can say multiple sources should send information to multiple sinks where either all or some of the information has to reach all and some of the sinks. The above figure you can see, you already see three types of mobility. Node mobility, wireless node themselves can be mobile. Meaning of such mobility is highly application dependent. Example, environmental control node. Mobility should not happen in livestock surveillance. Sensor nodes attached to a cattle, for example, it is the common rule. In face of node mobility, the network has to be reorganize itself frequently enough to be able to function correctly. It is clear that there are the trade-offs between frequency and speed of node, which movements on the one hand and energy required to maintain a desired level of functionality in the network on the other hand. Now next is a sink mobility. The information sinks can be mobile, and the important aspects of the aspects is the mobility of information sink that is part of the sensor network. For example, a human user requested information by PDA while walking in an intelligent building. In simple case, we can say a requester can interact with the WSN at one point and complete the interaction before moving ahead. Mobile requester is particularly interesting, however, if requested data is not locally available but must be retrieved from some remote part of the network. While requesters would likely communicate only with the nodes in its surroundings area, it might have the move to some other place. You can see here, this is a movement direction, and this shows the propagation of answers. And this figure show a mobile sink moves through the sensor network as a information being retrieved on its behalf. The network, possibly with the help of mobile requester, must make the provisions which requested data actually follows and reaches the requester despite its movements. Now next is the event mobility. In event mobility, applications like event detection, in particular in tracking application, cause of the events or objects to be tracked can be mobile. In such scenario, you can say it is very important that observed event is covered by sufficient number of sensors at all, because sensors will wake up around the object and engaged in a higher activity to observe present object, then go back to the sleep. As the event source moves through the network, it is accompanied by an area of the activity within the network. This has been called the Frisbee model. You can see here detection of an event, an animal that moves through the network along with the event source. Thank you. In this video I have discussed unit 4 of PTU syllabus, and in next video I will discuss unit 5. Thank you. If you like this video, please like and share my channel with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe my channel.